Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and it's a Friday at 12 o'clock. I think it's 12 o'clock. Let's take a look here. See my pocket watch? I love that pocket watch. I take it with me whenever I travel. Well, anyway, it's 12 o'clock on a Friday. Time for fish and chips. And but first, before I go, let's just let this batch of mead rack. Okay, that was maybe, 25 seconds or something like that? And did you feel the urge to click away or to fast forward or do something like that? That's okay. That's not your fault. That's the world we live in today. But it's a good example here of what this talk is about. It's the art of patience. I'm going to give you an insight into patience and waiting that you've heard before. Still is an insight, but nothing special. And then from there, I'm going to give you two further insights that are actual insights that will maybe help you think about patience and waiting. Stay tuned. Let's do the intro, and then let's go get a fish and chips. Okay, so let's go get our fish and chips. Well, welcome back. Thanks for watching and sticking with me. Thanks for having the patience. So let me give you right away, I'm going to talk about patience and why you should have it, and a little bit about what it is and why it really is something that's actually quite remarkable and helpful to you in your life. And let me give you the insight that everyone knows. First of all, you're going to recognize this and you say, well, it's an insight, yeah, but you've heard it before and I'm sure everyone's talked about it. And this is the insight that we live in a world where everything is instant gratification, right? Everything's instant. Excuse me. You can now watch anything you want to watch on the internet at any time, instantly. No need to wait until Friday at 7 p.m. for your favorite show. Except for, well, maybe Game of Thrones. But, microwaves make food almost instant. Drive-thrus make eating almost instant. What else? What other examples do we have? Drive-through tellers make getting money almost instant. Everything is just instant and fast. And that is an insight, but you've heard that before, right? And you've heard, and the point being there is that even though everything's faster and faster, we get messages instantly and all of that, why does nobody have any time? It's the strangest dichotomy. It's like this weird thing going on where everything's faster and faster and faster, yet none of us have any more time at all. So what's going on there? So that's the insight. But now let me give you two insights, I believe, that I've come up with that actually shed some light on that and the reason why we should be patient, take our time, and go slow about things. Not all the time, but often, and how we should consider being patient and slow more. Here's the first insight. The world beats at a different pace. What does that mean? I mean, the world has a rhythm. Everything in the world has a rhythm, and it's been doing it for a million years, right? The moon goes around the earth in its rhythm, and the stars rise and fall in their rhythm, and the sun rises and falls in its rhythm, and the birds and everything in the whole world has a certain rhythm. And when you rush things, when you all of a sudden speed everything up, maybe in the short term you get some kind of advantage, but you're actually putting yourself out of rhythm with the world. Really. You are whacking yourself out of rhythm with the world that you live in, the world that you are tuned to live in. For countless generations before you, all these people, all your progenitors, paddled to the beat of the rhythm. When the crops were ready to be harvested, when the sun first started making its appearance in the morning, when the Nile rivers flooded, or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever in their part of the world, there were all these beautiful rhythms of planting and sowing and reaping and harvesting and going to bed and waking up and following along with the rhythms of the world, and you're in harmony with the world. True. And now for some reason in our culture we speed everything up and put ourselves out of harmony. Right? It's just the truth. And you see what you believe to be a short-term gain. And I guess there probably is some kind of a short-term gain, but it always catches up with you. That's been my experience in life, that short-term gains always catch up with you. Eventually you have to pay the piper. So think about that. Think about patience, being patient. You know, if I can exaggerate a little bit, let me see if I give an example that kind of brings my point across there in terms of harmony with the world. Used to be a time where humanity would wait for the sun to rise before he'd start getting things done, because you needed light, right? You needed light, and when the sun rose, then it's, hey, let's get some stuff done. We got whatever, berries to pick, we got cattle to herd, or stuff like that. But now in our impatience, we have all these electric lights in our homes, and now we don't have to wait for the sun. We're totally out of rhythm with the world. Now, I'm not necessarily advocating no more lights. I'm not a Luddite. I'm not saying all technology has to go. I'm just saying that example of the short-term benefit of now I can work all night long, it catches up with you, right? So I hope that explains a little bit about that first insight about being in rhythm with the world, because that's important, because this is where we live. This is, I can't say it any different way. This is where we live. And you need to be in rhythm with it. It's like if you were in a 101-piece symphony and you were a third violin, you have to be in rhythm. You ruin the whole symphony. If you're not playing in synchronization with the rest of the orchestra is ruined. It's just the piece that you're playing is just done. Okay, so I think I might run out of time here. Let me move on to, so consider that. Consider patience as a way to ensure you stay in rhythm with life and the world. All right, that's the first insight. Here's the second insight, and I like this one a lot because, darn, I can't. I'm going to run out of time in this video. Let me give you some specific examples about rhythm with the world, right from my website and my YouTube channel. Mead making is a good example. We're always trying to rush the mead. Let me get a faster mead. I get emails all the time. I want a faster mead. How can I get it faster? And I'm always like, hey, wait a minute. Let the yeast do what it does. That's the point. Just relax. There's a rhythm going on. The yeast is growing. It's multiplying. It's creating alcohol. It's transforming the sugars. It's doing its thing. Just go with that rhythm. Go with the rhythm of the mead. Blacksmithing. If you heat up steel too fast, you'll ruin it. If you cool it down too fast, you'll ruin it. Heat, cool, hammer, shape steel as it dictates, not as you want to go faster. One more example, let me think. A bonsai. There's another wonderful example. Somebody was telling me a story about somebody who had a bonsai tree who just had to keep working on it. Before you know it, the thing was like done. It was defoliated and trimmed down, and he was always trying to fix it and make it better, and before you knew it, he had almost no tree left. Bonsai's another thing. You have to let the tree do what it's going to do. Work within that. Where is it making shoots? How can you manipulate the shoots? How can you make the leaves smaller? How can you shape that tree over time? All right, so those examples of patience and falling in rhythm with the world around you are very important in just about everything you do. So before I run out of time here, let me give you a second insight that I believe is extremely important, because that first one, you might be able to detect that one on your own, but here's one that I think you might like. And this is the insight of when you wait, when you have patience, profound things can happen. Let me see if I can explain this right. Now, I'm not saying that what happened to me is profound, but let me just give an example from my life and from what's going on with me. Been writing a book for several years now. I take it off the shelf every once in a while and work on it, put it away, work on it some more. This is in between. It's an in-between project for me. I've kind of been slowly evolving it over time, years. And when I get time, I go to it. At one point in the past, I was like, this book's really, I want this book, my character, I'm going to put my character through the worst things I can possibly put him through. I'm just going to make it worse and worse and worse. And things are going to get bad. And then when they get really bad, the things are going to get worse for him. And I'm going to see him overcome all of that and triumph through all of that. And it got to the point where I had painted myself in this horrible box. Me and my character, my poor character. The guy went through so much. And then I get to a point where I just couldn't figure out how to get out of it. Without, like, magic spell or something. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do that. I wanted something concrete, a way to solve that problem. I wanted my character to get out of the latest problem he was in, which was a bad one, that was life-threatening, without being schmarmy or clever or anything like that. I wanted something really good. And it took patience to find it. I just had to set it aside, take it out sometimes, look at it, think about it, write out some notes. I had a bunch of ideas, and I didn't like any of them. None of them were good enough. It must have took a year before it just popped. Something just happened. I was working on something different, and the solution to the problem of my character's problem in the book came to me. And it was wonderful. I was like, there you go. And in order for that to happen, it took patience. So that's also something that happens. If you attack something and you get it done and you move on to the next thing, how deep does that water flow? It's almost like we're swimming in an ocean that's an inch thick. All right? Because you're on to the next thing. You didn't give enough space, gray matter, thinking, time, depth of thought, research, and conflation. If you remember that old video I had. You didn't conflate anything. Oh, you should look that up. If you're enjoying this talk, you should look up my video on conflation. You didn't bring together different subjects and say, hey, how would this approach to this subject affect my current situation or what I'm working on now? So that's an important thing about patience, is that it allows your mind, it allows the universe to come up with different stuff, creative things. It's really quite remarkable, because it's been my experience that it almost always comes. You just got to keep at it. Patience isn't about doing nothing, right? You can still be determined. You can still keep moving forward. You can still keep trying, but while being patient. So I love that. And if you the book I was talking about there is The Left-Handed Sword. It's almost done. Really is almost done. I've been doing some rewrite and some editing and checking grammar and stuff like that lately, and so hopefully I'll find a publisher for that. Otherwise I'll self-publish, and I'll get that out to you. You might be interested in reading it, and you might get a chuckle when you see, wow, yeah, you know what, this poor guy's going through some stuff here, and it's getting worse. And then you'll notice where I solved the problem. You say, hey, son of a gun, that's quite a nice little insight that was born of patience. So 2 things when it comes to patience and waiting and slowing down. If you watch the whole mead racking section that was like 25 seconds long, and you just sat there patiently, congratulations. If you didn't, it's just because you're kind of trained by the world to hurry up and get on to the next thing and click on the next thing and check I'll go forward or whatever, and that's all right, but be aware of it. That's important. Let me just remind you of those 2 insights. The first, the 3 insights. The first insight is that the world is, a pretty hectic place, and everything's instant, and it might not be that good for us. The second insight is the insight of being in rhythm with the world. And the third insight is that the time you take when being patient sometimes brings you insights. Thank you.